Borshch is a magazine of electronic music on and off the dance floor, and it's the off bit which is particularly important to this first section. So the magazine is edited guest edited by Jeff Mills, the American DJ and producer, and he's really interested in the potential of electronic music to go beyond just dancing in a club and do something else. And so this first series of essays here are all about the potential of electronic music with technology. So there's an amazing piece here on how our sense of hearing can help us to process much larger amounts of data than, say, our sense of sight, and how that might be used by researchers. So really, really interesting first collection of stories, all based around electronic music. And then you get a big long interview with Jeff Mills himself, and really interestingly, he comes across as being quite personally wounded. He's he's very frustrated by the fact that electronic music is seen as something that you listen to in the club, and he says time and time again that, you know, we should be doing more than this. We should be making sure that this music transcends that beginning and goes on and does more stuff. And the interview is actually quite provocative. It's very easy for a small magazine like this. They get a big name like Jeff Mills involved. They could easily be very, they could pander to his views, but they really challenge him on stuff. And it makes for, it's a long interview, but it's a really, really interesting one. And then Jeff goes on to speak to and to recommend a series of artists who are actually doing that, who are going beyond the basics of electronic music in a club and doing slightly more crazy things like this. And I love these little they're not inserts because this is outside the magazine, but the way that these sheets here are used with this gap around the edges, and it suggests to me that this magazine is trying to point you toward the edges. So either literally, like with the way that the page is laid out, so you see here, look, the image just kind of runs full bleed to the top there, and then just nice and neatly around the edges, or more figuratively, it's trying to point you to the edges in terms of, you can see here, creativity as a controlled substance. Really, really interesting reading. This is a magazine that is as much for people who are interested in the future and technologies as it is for people who are like out and out clubbers or fans of electronic music. Brilliant new find, and really looking forward to seeing number 4.